Alrighty, I think we are officially live. At least I hope I am. Hey there, peeps, Detective Uwe here, and yikes. Last week, wasn't as great as I would have hoped. We went 9-7 last week in our predictions, bringing our total record on the year to 20-12. Um, which is respectable, but honestly, I know I could do better than that. So we're gonna aim to. Um, I had a mixed bag because I also went very upset heavy in week 2, and the upsets that did happen, I did not see coming for like a mile away. Um, like some of the misses I had, like this upset I did not see coming. I thought Pittsburgh was gonna roll on Seattle. They may look a little better than I have thought the Seahawks are. That or the Steelers just laid an egg. I don't know which. The Jaguars nearly upset Cincy, and you got to be concerned about Joe Burrow going out for essentially the rest of the year with that toe injury. The Titans didn't really show up at all. This game kind of the Ravens game was pretty obvious. I didn't think Detroit was gonna blow out Chicago, but dang, Green Bay looked really really good, and they might be a Super Bowl contender this year. The Niners, I told you all this was going to be a closer game, and it was, with Mac Jones starting instead of Brock Purdy in this game. I believe Jones is going to be the starter this week. I don't quote me on that, but this was a lot closer of a game, and I'd be concerned if I was a Cowboys fan right now. They probably should have lost that game, but you know what? Cowboys fans will take whatever they can get. They had a really, really close loss against Philly, and then they had a really, really close win against the Giants. So at this point, I don't know what that team looks like. I kind of saw this coming. Miami, any Dolphins fans out there? Really? Are you guys okay? This game, ugh. I should have picked Buffalo. I really should have. And Fields is out with concussion, so this game was nuts. The Colts needed like 10,000 things to go their way, and all of them hit. So Indiana Jones is off to a 2-0 start. So are the Colts a surprise team this year? Is Jones the Sam Darnold from last year? Only time will tell. The Cardinals, this was a lot closer of a game. I kind of thought it was going to be. But the Cardinals, hey, you can't complain about 2-0 start. This game. I really, really hope the Chiefs would pull through, but it's unusual. See, this is my proof, though, that the refs just don't like the Chiefs. They just hate everybody. They hate everybody and are only exist across dreams. But that wasn't even the biggest problem on that game day. Juwan Taylor, man, he's got to stop taking the penalties, and the play calling is just not that great. It's a little upsetting to see, but hey, I'm not panicking. They did look better this week than last week, despite the score, despite the offense not putting up as many points as last week as the week 1. This game, I saw the Falcons winning this one, but I didn't think it was gonna be this big of a win for the Falcons. McCarthy's out, I believe. I cannot recall what the reason is, but I heard he got injured during the game. It's not. Actually, let me look it up real quick. It was an ankle injury. So yeah, you just hate to see that for McCarthy, man. And then this game was close. Baker Mayfield, man, is clutch right now. I should have picked Tampa, but you know what? I thought Houston was going to be a bounce back, and that O line. I did not consider that the O line was going to be this bad. I probably should have, otherwise I would have easily gone Tampa, considering how the Super Bowls we've lost went. But and then this game, I thought it was going to be a bit of a closer of a game, but the Chargers really did put away the Raiders. and it was a lot lower scoring of a game too. So maybe the Chargers are really legit this year. Who knows? But we got 16 games this week to predict. We got a couple of spicy games on the schedule. Like this game, the Rams and the Eagles, both off to a 2-0 start, looking to really hammer away a 3-0 start. We got the battle of teams without their starting quarterbacks for different reasons, and then we got a couple of games that probably are going to be a bit easier. So I expect my record to be at least 10-6 this week. Although the Monday night game is going to be really good. That's going to be a really good battle. But let's get started with this. We got the Thursday night game tomorrow night at 7:15 my time, 8:15 Eastern. We got the 0-2 Miami Dolphins traveling to upstate New York to take on the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. It's a tale of two completely different teams with both with really heavy expectations. Buffalo is off to a great start. After the Week 1 thriller against Baltimore, they hammered New York in Week 2 and might have sidelined Justin Fields for the foreseeable future. It's just been all up and at for Buffalo so far. Meanwhile, the Dolphins are in the completely opposite direction. They were hoping to get at least a playoff berth, if not a win in the playoffs, but at this point, they might be aiming for a high draft pick this year. They laid an egg in Week 1 against the Colts, and then they couldn't. And then they lost to New England in Miami for the first time since 2017, I believe, 2018, something around there. And they just have not looked great at all. So it's a tale of two completely different teams. And seeing how things are playing out, you gotta go Buffalo here. It's in Orchard Park. It's a divisional game. Usually those are closer, but this game, no. This is all Buffalo's taking, and if you're Miami, you're just hoping that this game is somewhat close. Meanwhile, this next game, we're kicking off the noon games on Sunday. We got the 2-0 Green Bay Packers going to upstate Ohio to take on the 0-2 Cleveland Browns. Okay, when I said the Packers were going to be better this year, I did not think they were going to be this fucking good. They have just the defense, man, has especially turned it up since trading for Micah Parsons. They have looked really good, and the offense is doing their part too to continue to click. Jordan Love's been looking better every single week, and there's potential that he could be there's a potential that this Packers team could be a Super Bowl contender this year, just by the way that they've looked. I know it's only 2 weeks in, but man, the Packers have looked excellent on all aspects. Meanwhile, the Browns, after their Week 1 close game against Cincinnati, they returned to same old Cleveland Browns ways with a blowout loss to Baltimore. Joe Flacco just does not look great. And you wonder at this point, do they just put in Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders to give them a chance? And honestly, I think that might be a good call. I believe the Flacco is supposed to start again this week, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some playing time from Sanders. If not, at least, I hope Sanders gets a chance. I've heard he's looked really good in preseason, or in the one game he played, but he's got to have a chance to show it. And at this point, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I might as well give him the chance. Even if this is going to be a complete blowout, which it is, I'm going to go Green Bay here because the Packers are like looking really, really good, and I do not see any signs of them slowing down. Meanwhile, the Browns look dysfunctional, and I again like the Miami game. You just hope the Cleveland Browns, as a Browns fan, you just hope this game is somewhat watchable. Um, Maybe see Sanders get some playing time in, and yeah, and this is Green Bay's game to lose. Next up on the slate, though, we got the surprise team of the year so far, the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts, traveling to Music City to take on the 0-2 Tennessee Titans. I thought the Titans would look a little better than they did last week, but hey, the Titans are experiencing a similar problem to the Texans, where their O line just is not holding up. Plus, Ward does not have the playmakers on offense to really be productive this year. So maybe the Titans maybe they do get a high draft pick this year, but it's well, a little more bearable to watch them this year so far than they were last year. Meanwhile, the Colts, man, after blowing out the Dolphins in Week 1, they went back and forth with the Broncos the entire game and found themselves pinned against a wall on multiple occasions, and somehow, some way, luck favored the Colts, pun unintended. And you just love to see it as a Colts fan. You any Colts fan would probably not be saying we should be 2-0 right now. They probably are thinking maybe we should be 0-2, just based on like how they expected things to go. But Daniel Jones the new Sam Darnold? Is he the Sam Darnold for this year? Time will tell. But right now the Colts just look really, really good, and it looks like he's revived the whole team. And going into Nashville, I think I am going to pick Indy this week. It I really do think the Colts have found something in Jones, because it's not like Jones. This is the first time he's really popped off in a season. You remember a few years ago, the Giants went to the playoffs under um, under then new head coach Brian Dable in his first year under him, and they even won a playoff game there. So it's not like Jones doesn't know how to play successful football. And maybe the right change for him was a new setting in Indy. Meanwhile, the Titans, I think this will be a bit of a closer game, but there's just something lacking on the Titans' offense that's just really, really going to be a bit of a pain to watch. But I don't know, maybe the defense will look better. Who knows? Another noon game on Sunday. We got the Cincinnati Bengals, who are sit at 2-0, probably the most miserable 2-0 team, but right behind them is probably the most painful 1-1 team, the Minnesota Vikings, as the game will be taking place in Minneapolis this Sunday. And both teams picked a really, really bad time to lose their quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, as you all know, is out with a toe injury that could have him that could have him out for the rest of the year. He's out for at least 3 months. So, just when things were starting to look up for Cincy, it just collapses all over them. And at this point, I kind of feel bad for the Bengals. But as a Chiefs fan who remembers how much this was the only AFC team except for Tom Brady's Patriots back in the day that actually managed to get to Mahomes and beat him in the playoffs, I don't feel as bad, but I still feel kind of bad. Just when things were looking up for them too. They aren't the only ones suffering from a QB going down to injury though. JJ McCarthy is also out for this week, as he suffered an ankle injury against the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. The Vikings did pick up Desmond Ridder in the from free agency to fill in for McCarthy until he gets back. But they are gonna go with, I believe, the Carson Wentz, who has shown some experience, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. McCarthy though is supposed to be out for 2 to 4 weeks, while Burrow is supposed to be out for a couple of months. So it's almost a battle of like who's going to have a bigger morale going into this game. Um, I don't know who the starting QB is going to be for the Bengals. Let me look that up real quick. Who's going to be starting? I think it should be Browning because he did lead him to a um, last second victory against the Jaguars last week. Um, but yeah, I think this is a tough game to call because both these teams are missing their quarterbacks. The Bengals have proved that they can win under Jake Browning. But is he really a starter for when the team needs him to be? And for the Vikings, does Carson Wentz really show up here? Hmm. I think the question at this point is just who needs it more. The Bengals are sitting at the top of the AFC North, and the Vikings are trying to catch the Packers. So I think I am going to go with the Vikings here. It is a home game, and the Vikings really need this one more than the Bengals do. But would not be surprised if the Bengals come out and win this game. It's just unfortunate that both of these teams had early season injuries occur again for their two franchise QBs, and yeah, that since the O line really needs to get figured out because Burrow's getting killed back there. And then I do hear Bengals fans still saying, I love Jamar Chase, but we should have drafted Penei Sewell because Burrow's getting killed back there. But I'm giving it to the Vikings, and hey, whoever loses, good luck the rest of the way. Another Sunday game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers sitting at 1-1. They travel to Foxborough, Massachusetts. They take on another 1-1 team, the New England Patriots. This is an interesting matchup. The Patriots, I've said from the beginning that they were going to look pretty good under head coach Mike Vrabel and second year QB Drake May. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they had one really great performance by Aaron Rodgers, and then they followed it up with a not so great look for Rodgers on offense. And the defense just has not looked that impressive so far. The usually reliable Pittsburgh D that's been carrying them through to the postseason might have picked the wrong time to collapse on themselves. And my question is, do the Patriots really take advantage of that? This Patriots team put up a really close game against the Raiders, who were also supposed to be better this year, and they beat Miami for the first time in 2017. So you'd think they'd have momentum, but it is the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, as long as he's the head coach, he knows how to win games. But I am gonna give it to New England. I think the biggest factor is they're playing at home and they have momentum on their side. They just won in Miami for the first time in a few years, and they're catching the Steelers at a pretty good time because the Steelers are still looking for their wounds from Seattle. So I think the Patriots do take this game, but it is going to be a lot closer of a game. And I think New England would take a 2-1 start, especially after how the last few years have treated them in the first years of the post-Tom Brady era. And then another Sunday game. This is probably one of the best games of the week. We got the 2-0 Los Angeles Rams traveling to Philadelphia to take on the defending Super Bowl champion, the 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams, they looked a lot better last week than they did in week 1. They took care of business against the Steelers. I think it was like 33-17 was the final score. Yeah, it was a really good day all around for the Rams. They took advantage of Ward on offense, and Stafford went for nearly 300 yards that game. He did have a pick though, so but the defense was holding strong. Um, nearly 450 yards of total offense. So that offense definitely did get a lot better, and they improved in the following week. So they're looking to take that success and take it to Philly, where the Eagles just came off a pretty big victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, I think we continue to understand how good the tush push is. I mean, they did get away with a few calls, but at the end of the day, momentum shifted to Philadelphia the moment um, the routine touchdown pass to Kelsey was bobbled and picked off. That's when all momentum shifted towards the Eagles' way. And honestly, I don't think Hurts played as well as he did in week one, but the rest of the offense did step up more, and the defense did crack down on the Chiefs when they really needed to. So, Philadelphia might be your clutch team this year. Who knows? But, because this is back to back games where they really needed to crack down in the fourth quarter, and they managed to do so. And LA's going to have to rely on getting a really, really good start. Because if they are trying to play from behind, Philly can crush you. And the Eagles, meanwhile, just need to contain. They just need to get the offense rolling, especially to keep up with the Rams, who've been getting momentum on offense. Who wins this game, though? I'm almost tempted to pick LA, just because I think Stafford's really found something last week. But I am going to go with the Eagles here. I think it is going to be a closer game, which is really going to benefit the Eagles here. And I think the home field advantage will be nice for the Eagles as well. So I am going to go Philly, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won. It is going to be a good game. I hope to catch this one. I hope this one appears on my local station on Fox instead of this mess. I'd rather watch the Rams and Eagles over the Packers and Browns. I do not need to watch a domination. Speaking of dominations, the next new game we're going to cover, the 0-2 New York Jets going to Tampa, Florida to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh man, Baker Mayfield just keeps coming in clutch, doesn't he? The Bucks needed a little bit of a Baker Mayfield masterclass at the end there, but they managed to get it from him. Um, no picks, 2 touchdowns, 25 for 38 for Baker Mayfield. Um, yeah, it was a all around good day for the Bucks, even though they really really needed to um, come from behind a little bit. Meanwhile, after the really really impressive week one, the Jets kind of fell apart in week two. It doesn't help that Justin Fields is now out with a concussion, and I don't know for how long. I'm assuming it's going to be at least several weeks, and you just hate to see it. I think the Jets at this point just like are a QB purgatory, and the defense just did not come in to help any matters for the offense. The usually reliable Jets defense just crumbled under Buffalo this past week. And it's just unfortunate because the Jets probably did have a bit of momentum going into that game, and then all of it was crushed with the Fields injury and the defense just not being able to meet the standard quota for what they usually are. So I gotta give it to the Bucks here, especially since it's being played in Tampa Bay. Um, the Jets, I think at this point they're just dysfunctional as hell. Meanwhile, the Bucks, after having two straight easy games, they're looking forward to this game. Really want to take this one early and expect this game to be a blowout. This next game, though, should be a bit more interesting. We got the Las Vegas Raiders sitting at 1-1, going to the Washington Commanders, also sitting at 1-1. The Commanders, don't let Thursday night fool you into thinking, oh, the Commanders are overrated, whatnot. They faced a really, really good Packers team, and yes, even though the score doesn't really tell the whole story, um, it is going to be an interesting week 3. But unfortunately, though, if I remember correctly, I think Jalen Daniels is at least questionable for this week, and yeah, it's just going to be a very interesting week. Um, Because let me look at Daniels because I heard I'm pretty sure something happened. Whether yeah, it was a knee injury. I believe it occurred during the Packers game. So Daniels is questionable this week. Um, I don't know how much that will change the outcome because the Raiders just their offense um it gives us a good reminder of why the Seahawks traded Geno Smith away. It did not look good at all, and they really missed that spark that they found in Week 1, and it's going to be tough going into DC to take on the Commanders, especially if Jane Daniels is starting. Even if he isn't, I think I am going to go with the Commanders, but expect it to be a lot closer of a game if he's not starting. And the Commanders are looking for a bounce back game. They really do not want to drop to 1-2, um, especially considering that the Eagles could potentially lose against the Rams. They're hoping to catch them in the divisional race because they do not want to be sitting so far behind them when they got to play them twice in December and January. So you just hope for the Commanders that they get off to a really early start. Maybe not look back, but something tells me it's going to be a lot closer of a game than people are thinking. But I give credit to the Raiders if they can find, because Genty has not been very reliable. Maybe something will change this week, but I am still going to give it to the Commanders. So yeah, Commanders looking for a bounce back game, and I think they're going to get it here. Next up on the schedule, we got the some more noon games. We got the 1-1 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 0-2 Carolina Panthers. Whew, the Falcons, they looked good. They looked pretty good on Sunday Night Football. It took a little bit to get it clicking, but the defense really, really cracked down on the Vikings. And the offense, once they were clicking, they managed to really look that damn good. And they are going against an 0-2 Carolina team where Bryce Young looks like he's reverted to his rookie season form, which is not something you were wanting to see as a Panthers fan. This is like Bryce Young's like final year to really prove he is the true franchise QB of the Panthers. I picked the Panthers to win in Week 1. They got completely blown out. Week 2, it did take a bit to get rolling, but it was far too late to beat the Cardinals. I think this one is going to be closer, but I think the Falcons do take this one. I think at the end of the day, the defense is going to really crack down on Bryce Young. They're going to get the stops that they need, and they're going to be able to either get the score to win the game or hold on to the score just by a little bit. I think it is going to be a closer game. Divisional games are usually closer. It is in Carolina, which is what the Panthers have really been missing. This is their first home game, so they want to look good in front of the Panthers crowd. And I think they are. I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Falcons, especially considering how good they looked on Sunday night. And the Falcons are trying to catch the Bucks too in the NFC South race. They're their biggest competition this for the South, so they really want to keep pace with them. And hey, maybe Penix will look that much better this week. Who knows? And then we got a battle in Jacksonville, Florida, in Duval County. We got the 0-2 Houston Texans going to Jacksonville, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who sit at 1-1. Um, is it time to get concerned at Houston? Because if the old line does not get at least mediocre soon, Stroud's gonna get killed. Especially when he takes on like a bunch of tougher defenses. Um, because that's like two straight games where the offense just not clicked because the offensive line could not protect Stroud to save his life. And meanwhile in Jacksonville, everyone was thinking Travis Hunter was going to be a lot more, was going to contribute a lot more than he has. Maybe this is the week that he does. Who knows? But you can't really be that. You have to really think like, is this like the Jacksonville's time to shine? They get really send Houston to 0-3, and panic sparks in Houston. This is a really close. This is a really tough decision to make. I could see it going either way. Houston still has Stroud. He's still gonna do Stroud things, and I think it is gonna be. That's what keeps Houston in the game. Meanwhile, for the Jaguars, they destroyed Carolina in Week 1. They managed to get the battle back and forth on Cincinnati in Week 2. I think I am going to give it to the Texans here. I think it's just desperation at this point. The Texans really need this game now, and they really need a win, especially in divisional play, to have any chance of repeating as AFC South champions for the third straight year. And I think Jacksonville's also kind of in a desperation game, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as big as Houston's. So I think I am going to give it to the Texans here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags won too. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of the better games this week, so keep an eye out on this game. But now, that concludes the noon games. Let's go to the afternoon games. Starting with the 3:05 matchup, we get an AFC West showdown between the 1-1 Denver Broncos and the 2-0 LA Chargers. The Broncos, what happened? The defense was solid in Week 1, and the offense was just flat in that same week. Meanwhile, in Week 2, it was the exact opposite. The offense finally started to get going, but the defense collapsed at the worst possible time, and the Broncos lose on a heartbreaker. A missed field goal that was called back via a penalty, which allowed Indy to get a second chance, which they absolutely converted. So Denver's really looking for a get-right game. Meanwhile, the Chargers, they are kind of the Packers of the AFC at this point. They've looked really good. I think people were thinking they were going to be pretty good. They may have dropped off, may have stayed the same, maybe have even gotten better. I don't think people expected them to look this better though, this good. I don't think the people think we're going to be this better. So, props to the Chargers so far. They've looked really damn good, and it's going to be a tough test for the Chargers this week though. This is supposed to be a top 10 defense once again this year. And the Chargers are really going to have to play well played football to win this game, because that defense for the Chargers, they look pretty good, but they aren't going to hold that way forever. And this would be huge for the Chargers. A 3-0 start, not just in the regular season, but a 3-0 start in divisional play. How would you love to have that as a Chargers fan? So both teams are looking for this win for many reasons. But I am going to go with the Chargers here. They've looked better than the Broncos so far. And I think the Chargers are going to... I think the defense may be crumbling for a bit for the Broncos. And I think the Chargers' offense has just gotten that much better. And I think that's what's going to win them in this game. And man, I are the Chargers going to win the AFC West this year? I don't like saying that as a Chiefs fan, but you know what? Sometimes you got to give credit where it's due. Chargers, you look really really damn good. And even as a neutral fan for the league, I hope you keep this up. As a Chiefs fan, I hope you Charger it again so we can win the division. We got another 305 game though. We got the New Orleans Saints who sit at 0-2, taking on the Seattle Seahawks who sit at 1-1 in Lumen Field. And if you're the Saints, you cannot be mad at this team. They were going into the season projected to be one of the heavy favorites to get the number one overall draft pick. Instead, they've actually looked not so bad. They are 0-2, yes, but they've looked good doing it. And maybe this is their maybe they aren't going to be so unbearably bad this year. Meanwhile, in Seattle, um, it was slow in week 1, but they did get the offense rolling in week 2. And that's what Seattle really needs in this game, especially with the Saints, who have been playing pretty tight games so far this year. Uh, I think if Seattle wasn't didn't look as good as they did last week, I think I would have gone New Orleans. But I am gonna go with the Seahawks here. It is gonna be a close game. I think the Saints really have proven that they play competitive football this year. But the Seahawks found their groove a little too quickly for the Saints, and I think the Seahawks are gonna take this game. You hope in Seattle that Sam Darnold just did not have a one-off week where he looked really good and just lays an egg this week. You hope this continues, and yeah, maybe Seattle isn't going to be as bad as I thought they were going to be this year. I had Seattle maybe winning like 5 or 6 games this year. Maybe they're actually going to be a contender for a wild card berth. Who knows? Maybe even a divisional title. But we'll have to see how things go. On to the 325 games. We got 2 of them. We got the 1-1 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 0-2 Chicago Bears. If you're these teams, you probably are a bit panicked. The Cowboys, they had a really good week 1, but the week 2 game against the Giants, they needed a miracle just to send the game to overtime and then win it. So you're kind of concerned as a Cowboys fan a little bit. You will take a 1-1 start though. Meanwhile, Chicago, they've looked good for maybe like 3 quarters. They have not looked good at all since then. And you just wonder if Ben Johnson's the guy at this point. You hope he is. But this is a tough game. Both teams really, really need this game for their own reasons. Chicago is supposed to be a playoff contender, and Dallas is supposed to just not be bad. They're just hoping and praying for that. I think I am going to give it to the Bears, though, giving them their first win of the year. I think this is the game where Caleb finally and the offense finally show up and really put the nail in the Cowboys' if any of their fans had playoff hopes, dashes it with this game. And I think I am concerned especially with how the Cowboys came out in week 2. They did win, yes, but they did not look good doing it. So I think I am going to give it to the Bears this week. Which I hope they do win, because I did predict them to at least get to the postseason. But who knows? Both of these teams just may be dumpster fires of their own way. The second 325 game we got to predict this week is an NFC West showdown. We got the 2-0 Arizona Cardinals taking on the 2-0 San Francisco 49ers. So whoever wins this game essentially has first place in the NFC West, which both teams would love at this point. Arizona had to play 2 really, really close games, and they did manage to get through, and they won. They won a pretty close game in New Orleans, and they managed to avoid a Carolina comeback in week 2. start off 2-0. Um, I am a little concerned about how this team is going to play in close games moving forward, though. But they could win this week because the Niners aren't exactly healthy. But the problem is, I think they are going to get Brock Purdy back because he is set to practice on today, and this is going to be tough. Do I give it to the Niners? I think if Brock Purdy starts, the Niners are going to win this game. But if he doesn't, then it's a toss-up. I think I am going to go with the Niners this week, and mark this as an asterisk because I may change it depending on if Brock Purdy starts. If he doesn't, I may change it to the Cardinals. But for right now, I am going to go with the Niners. They are playing at home. It's not like they're terrible when they have a bunch of injuries. But I think the Cardinals just came out not as great as people were expecting for them to just pick them to win this game. But hey, if the Cardinals look pretty good in this game, then people might start taking you guys seriously. As for the Niners, just pray you guys don't get any more injuries. You really need as many players as possible if you're going to make a playoff push this year. And then we got the Sunday night game at 7:20 local my time, 8:20 Eastern. We got the battle of two 0-2 teams, which for this game you did not think you were going to say that. You got the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champions. My team, the Kansas City Chiefs for the kingdom, taking on the New York Giants. The Giants, yes, they did play close against the Cowboys, but oh man, they blew an opportunity to steal a win from Jerry's world, and now they got to face a really, really angry Kansas City Chiefs team. This probably does not go well for the Giants. But meanwhile, on the Chiefs side, I am concerned about the play calling for Andy Reid. I just wonder how long he's going to be continuing to coach this team because the play calling isn't there. And I will say one benefit from the Chiefs, though. Josh Simmons, man, I think he's actually looking really, really damn good, which I hope he pans out because if not, if he does, that's a steal for the Chiefs, getting him that late in the draft. But the other concern I do have for the Chiefs right now is the the receivers again, because not only are some of the receivers just not making the catches that they should, but they're also really, really missing Rashee Rice right now, and we still have no update on how long Xavier Worthy's going to be out. I assume he's still going to be out for a couple of weeks. Maybe he will return to this game. Who knows? A dislocated shoulder isn't really great, but Worthy says he's hopeful to return in this game. So I think even if Worthy doesn't play this week, I think he will be back for the Ravens game, which is huge because we really need the wide receivers that we can, and we pray to God that they don't run into each other again. 3 plays into the game, but I think this is an easy Kansas City Chiefs win. They really do not want to start 0-3 because then I would be hitting the panic button. But they should be able to take care of business this week. They get a huge game against Baltimore coming up next week, and they got to take care of business so they don't have to run the risk of going 0-4, which would be nightmare fuel for the Chiefs fans. And the Giants, you just hope it's going to be close. But right now, it's just not looking that way. And finally, we got the Monday night game, probably the game of the week. We got the 1-1 Detroit Lions going to Baltimore to take on the 1-1 Baltimore Ravens. Both of these teams lost a pivotal road game in week 1 and then came back in week 2 to smash their divisional opponent at home. So this is going to be a really interesting game. I think this just comes down to who's going to look better and who's looked good so far. The Lions, they just did not look good at all against the Packers in week 1. And maybe give a credit to the Packers just for looking that good, but the Lions offense did not look great in that week. Maybe they found something in week 2 though, because they put up 51 points on the Bears, which as a slight Packers fan, I kind of love seeing. And maybe they found their mojo. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, their offense still looks really good, even in both weeks. But the defense in week 1 just completely collapsed on a 40-25 shocking choke against the Bills. But they managed to demolish the Browns, I believe putting up like 40-something points on them in week 2. So both of these teams are looking to really, really get things right. The Ravens, because you can look at their schedules too. The Ravens, as I said, take on the Chiefs in week 4. So they don't want to run the risk of going 1-3. Meanwhile, for the Lions, they do have the Browns, a Joe Burrow-less Bengals coming up on their schedule. So it's not like they're worrying too much if they lose this game. I think Baltimore needs this game a whole lot more, because seeing how tough the schedule gets for them. So I am going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to take this game. I think it is going to be a higher scoring game. I think it's going to be maybe like around something like 75 points this week. Just seeing how explosive both of these teams are, I think the Ravens defense is going to make the plays that seals a win for them. But it is going to be a really tight game on Monday night, and I'm looking forward to watching that game, or at least catching the highlights. But with that being said, that's all for week 3. I hope to improve on the 9-7 record from last week, hoping to maybe match this 11-5 in week 1. There are a bunch more easier games to predict, but there's also a good handful of games that could go either way. So it's going to be an interesting week. I just enjoy football while it lasts, because it's a 4-month sprint to the playoffs, and I do not want the season to end. After this week, we are 1/6 of the way through the season, if you can believe that. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. For sports fans, I'll be back on Wednesday with week 4, obviously. For your everyday normal fan, normal subscriber, whatnot, I'll be back this weekend playing games with some friends. Probably am going to do Mogas again, because I really wanted to see if I can get one of the 2 new roles. And then maybe something else. Maybe like Uno, or maybe finishing Pico Park, who knows. I'll let you guys know as soon as I figure that out. But be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, be sure to turn on notifications, share the channel around. It helps me grow. Yeah, I really think it's going to be an interesting week. And I can't wait to see how things play out from here on out. If I swear to God, if I go if I do another like 6-10 week, it's gonna be over for me. But with that being said, see you later, peeps. Thanks for watching.